Hello and welcome back to the channel. I would like to share with you a book that have kind of changed my way of seeing how love works sometimes in relationships and that I found very, very helpful. The book is The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. Maybe you know it because it's been around for some time now. If you ever have been in a relationship or if you hope to be in one, I think you might find some valuable insights in this video about things you have been wondering about or questions that you would like answers to. Let's go! So, this book is not proven science. It has not been tested and dissected in a scientific lab, but it has been sold millions of copies and it has been translated in 50 languages and it has helped thousands of couples. The author of this book is Gary Chapman and he did a lot of marriage counseling and he published this book after 30 years of experience. So basically this book is actually like the conclusion of 30 years of experience and observation and clinical practice and thing that has actually worked for thousands of couples. Foundation of this book is basically the concept that we're not talking about falling in love in the first 6 months of a relationship where everything is usually very bright and very easy. We're talking about the kind of love that comes after, that is built slowly and with energy and effort. Here we're in this perspective where we want willingly to build a good relationship with someone, to create love and to feel loved also in return. So you want to make your partner feel loved and you would like to receive love also. The idea is that we all have a preferred language of love. So you know, like how there is Chinese and French and English and we all mean the same concept. For instance, the concept of the tree, but to say it, to express it to someone, we will use different words. Tree, arbre, etc. For love, it's the same. We all feel love, but the way we express it and we like to receive it is not the same. So, for example, let's say that one of your friends has helped you greatly with something lately and you are sitting with him and you want to express to him how you really appreciated what he did. We're not gonna have the same first reflex, you know, so maybe it will be you want to buy him a gift, or maybe you will just hug him dearly, or maybe you will tell him how great he was. And this reflex you have is very personal to you and to who you are. The idea is that in a relationship, it's kind of the same when you are with your partner. Let's say, for instance, one day you have cleaned the whole house, you have cleaned the floor, the windows, you have made sure that everything was perfectly tidy and everything, and you thought in your head, oh my god, you know what, my partner is gonna come back and he's gonna be so happy, so thrilled. Your partner comes back and he barely noticed. You feel like, okay, what's happening? This is weird. Similarly, let's say your partner brings you a beautiful gift, a beautiful ring, and he brings it to you and you're happy and you're really thankful. But somehow in your head you're thinking, that's weird. Yesterday when we were hugging on the couch, I think I was feeling way more happy. Like, I wish he would do the same today, you know. What Gary Chapman talks about is the fact that sometimes when we are a couple and we have different love languages, because we're not speaking the same language, again, let's go with this metaphor, someone is speaking Chinese and the other is speaking French, the two persons, they don't feel loved, even though the other person is telling you, I love you, let's say in French, je t'aime, and the other in Chinese, unfortunately I don't know how it's said, and the thing is that the person does not understand the language of the other, and so they just don't feel loved by the other because the other does not speak their language when they want to show them love. So for instance, they would be always telling them beautiful words, very nice, kind words, writing them poems and telling them poetry, but they would never touch them or very rarely kiss them. And the other one would be always hugging them and kissing them, but they would never tell them with words how they feel, because it's not their primary language of expressing love. So these misunderstandings can create great sadness, and we won't feel good. We will not be able to feel happy. So what's kind of amazing for me, at least in this, is that it's really a misunderstanding. We're not talking about a person that hates another person. We're talking about two people who love each other, but they talk differently and they just don't understand it. It can have severe consequences in real life, and it's all a misunderstanding. Again, we're talking here just about one view, one perspective of what love is. We agree that in a relationship there is a lot of things that are at stake and there are lots of things going on, so it's not... I'm just talking about this perspective here from this point of view. For me personally, I experienced this at the beginning of my marriage. I used to feel that there was something missing, and well, it didn't take me a lot of time to guess. So my primary love language was physical touch, and I could clearly see that the days where we would not take each other's hand, kiss a bit, or like just, random hugs or stuff like this, it would make a huge difference on how I felt compared to the days where we would. Luckily, I had read this kind of early on, and I managed to talk to my husband about it. He tried to pay more attention to it, and honestly, it made a huge difference on how I felt. Gary Chapman regrouped all the ways, or he called them dialects of love, which is, for instance, are like, like if you give a compliment or if you're encouraging with your words. These are two ways of talking, what he calls words of affirmation, which is a big category of language. So there are 5 big categories. First, so you have physical touch, hugs, and anything that has to do with physical touch. Words of affirmation, which are, compliments, encouragements, everything that goes through words. Receiving gifts, quality of time, and acts of services. The idea would be for you to first identify maybe what would your primary love language be. In the book, you have quizzes that can help you do that. They also have a site where you can quiz yourself to know what's your primary love language, and also the one of your partner. And there have a quiz where you can quiz yourself what's the love language of your partner. So usually we have one that comes a bit up above the others. Doesn't mean that you don't like all of them. You can like all of them. Who doesn't like to receive gifts? Who doesn't like to be helped? Obviously, the 5 love languages are all something that we all want for ourselves and for others, and if we want to love others. But for the primary one is something that if it's not here, you really miss it. So once you know a bit like what is your love language and what's the love language of your partner, the idea is to intentionally and willingly want to give them their emotional need for love. And so to give your partner the love that they would feel, make sure that the message would arrive, you're gonna need to kind of learn a new language. And like any new language learning, it's gonna take a bit of time. It's gonna feel a bit unfamiliar at first, not very natural, and then you can get used to it bit by bit. Of course, all this work needs to be very intentional. So, what I would suggest eventually, of course, if this is the type of thing that you're interested in, you could try, for instance, for a week or 2, and see what happens if there are any changes. The magic of it is that usually when you start loving the person in the way that they will understand that they are loved, they will feel loved and they will want to love you more in return. Again, we're just talking in this context for this book. There can be a lot of other things in a relationship going on that has nothing to do with what we are talking about here. But anyway, it's worth trying and seeing what happens. So in this book you have different examples of things you can do to try to talk the language of your partner, and also a good way to try to identify what would make them happy is to see what's the thing that they usually kind of complain about regularly. Kind of like the dishes, the laundry, something about the home, then maybe it would be act of services. So try to be as much as you can very specific or personal about it. And maybe even if your partner is open about it, maybe you can talk about it or just ask him like, what's the thing that you could do that would really make him happy. So, some final thoughts about this approach. The same way you can really give love and happiness to your partner by speaking their primary language, you can also hurt them if you do the exact contrary or really make them feel sad. So this is kind of good to keep in mind. Also, what I have noticed is that it's not just in a couple. This approach could be applied also with your family, your children, your parents. I think Gary Chapman has written other books like The 5 Languages of Children or The 5 Languages of Teenagers. I haven't read them personally, but even just with this approach, if there is someone in your family you feel like you're a bit distant from, it's worth trying also to see what is the thing that they keep doing or that they're complaining about a lot, and see how maybe if you do it, it could change things. I would be very curious to know if you've tried this approach, or if you want to try it, or if you try it a week or something and maybe it has some results. You can put it down in the comments. I will read this with pleasure. If you want to read this book, it's not very, very hard to read. I don't think it is hard. It's short and it has a lot of prompt questions also. And because it's been around for a long time, you can also find it not very expensive on some sites already used or something. I will link down below also the link if you want to buy the book or if you want to quiz yourself for their sites. So remember that this video is really about my personal experience with this book, and it's also not the magic solution for every relationship problems in the world, obviously. But I have to say that it really has been game-changing for me personally, and this is why I really wanted to share it in this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye!